Now, this one was kind of odd, too, we thought. Joe Burrow, who, depending where you want to put him, he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. But wherever you put him, but everyone can agree that he's top 5 quarterback in the league. He's obviously in line for a major contract whenever they decide to get that done. The first time they can get it done is after this season. He will have completed his 3rd year. So here was Mike Brown, who's the owner of the Bengals, who was talking on the Bengals Booth podcast with Dan Hord and Dave Lapham.
He's going to have a long career. We certainly want it to be here. But there is the fact that when you don't have to pay the quarterback some extraordinary amount, that leaves room to pay other players more. But Mahomes and others of that like, they seem to make it go even after they have gotten their payday.
You're not getting out of this one, Mike. I gotta say.
What are you talking about? He sounds sharp as a tack right there. What was that?
Are you implying that, like, what's the implication here?
I've read a lot about this. The implication is they want him to take a Tom Brady discount to keep the talent around because they got to obviously pay their receivers. Especially, I think they could lose T. Higgins. So I think everyone is assuming that he's saying, hey, take a discount. Of course we want you, but we got to keep a champion team around you.
Okay, well, I mean, not to get too in the weeds here, but you know who's going to have a major problem with that? The NFL Players Association.
Oh, but
they hate it when guys take less money. Hate it. And if Joe Burrow has a chance to have a record-setting contract, I mean, I don't know if he's getting a Deshaun Watson contract, but he certainly could ask for one.
Well, I know, but
just like Lamar.
Those guys, I never even understood. I would definitely go the Brady route. If you could get, say you got $185 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
Isn't that enough?
Well, but that's not for you or I to decide.
Well, I'm just saying you don't want to be Drew Brees and then have your team gut it around you because that's no fun either. I don't think Drew Brees cares about the money. He can never spend the money.
Well, then why do you keep taking every dollar year after year?
I think he had bad judgment. I think he'll look back at his career and say, "Wow, we could have achieved a lot more if I hadn't eaten up all the salary cap."
I don't think he's going to think that.
I think so. I don't think he cares about that. Well, Drew Brees actually did lose a lot of money, but I don't think he cares about the money. I think he looks back with regret at the last 7 years of his career, for sure.
Doesn't care about the money. He's out there doing commercials for betting, casinos and stuff.
I know. I think he lost some money. I mean, famously.
Yeah.
He got it in a bad jewelry deal and whatever. But I don't know. If I'm Joe Burrow and you have a choice, I can push the Bengals as far as I can, or we sign all these guys. I want T. Higgins. I'm sorry. And Joe Burrow's always going to make money off the field. He's fine. He'll probably get when he retires, a Tom Brady $40 million deal. You're telling me you wouldn't take a little bit less to keep talent around you?
Well, listen, maybe I might, but I'm not them. Like, I'm not somebody who's already torn my ACL once. I'm not somebody who, was told, at Ohio State, you're never going to amount to anything, or, you can't play for us, and then went on to give one of the biggest middle fingers to everybody in the history of college football. Like, I'm not living that life.
Right, but you also are not you're pretty competitive, but you're not as competitive where Joe Burrow, where your whole life is about winning Super Bowls, and you will do anything. You will push an old lady in front of a bus to win a Super Bowl. So you're telling me you wouldn't help your team like Patrick Mahomes and Brady help the cap?
I would push an old lady in front of the bus for this show.
No, you wouldn't. Well, honestly, I think he's obsessed with winning, and I think the obvious path to winning is take a little bit less to keep your receivers.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're Green Bay, and you're throwing to Samaje Toure at an important moment.
I also, though, if I were the owner of the Bengals and I'm trying to position myself to ask somebody who could ask for the moon and stars, I don't know if I'm doing that publicly.
No.
I never remember Robert Kraft being out there on podcasts saying, it's really great that Tom's taking less money. That was something that was kind of like a little bit more unspoken, right? And a lot of people said it was because Giselle was making so much money that he was able to afford to do that. I don't know about that, but I don't know if I'd be out there trying to put public pressure on him to take less.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're reading too much into it. He was just speaking, but he's kind of hot. He's kind of the hot owner GM right now. They've been on fire in the draft. I don't know that it's not the old Mike Brown. I mean, look at all the great players he's brought in there. And he's a GM. I know Duke Tobin is probably picking these guys, but I feel like he has a little house money to play with. It's not Mike Brown of old, where we used to make fun of them for being cheap. Because they spent money. B, they've made great draft choices.
Well, and they also, let's be honest, like got the number one pick in the best year possible.
Right. But they also
where it was obvious.
Yeah.
Like, no offense to Justin Herbert, but like it was obvious that he was going to be the number one guy. He's from Ohio. Like they got so lucky with that.
Right, but they also got Chase. They signed Hendrickson. They've made nothing but great moves. Yep. And also apparently these backup linemen that are starting, and that you have you don't think that they're going to struggle at all. They're all draft picks. These guys are bringing in, except I can't believe you're not. There's 2 tackles gone and a guard gone, and you're terrified of this team.
Terrified because of Joe Burrow.
There was 1 tackle missing last year. Now there's 3. This is Mahomes in the Super Bowl. There's no way they could keep Joe Burrow upright.
Well, but don't forget Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That Tampa pass rush was crazy. Like they were really, really good. That's not the Bills pass rush now.
But I mean, I think that game was definitely defined by both tackles being out, and that's the reality that Cincinnati's facing. It's a huge deal. That's why the spread's 5.5.
I know.
It would never be that otherwise.
I agree with you.